The internet makes it easy to buy just about anything, especially on Craigslist. You can find everything from a used computer to a house or maybe even your next date. But the site is notorious for facilitating crime, everything from scams to murder. Some of them sound too ludicrous to be real, but the question is, can you tell which are truth and which are tale? Looking for a change of pace, a man applies for a job listing on Craigslist. The gig offers $300 a week for house-sitting a secluded farm. After a few weeks, he gets a call from his two new employers telling him he's been hired. The three meet up to show the man his responsibilities, and they pile into a pickup truck, making their way down lonely country roads. But before they reach the farm, the two bosses stop the truck and say they've left some equipment in the woods and need help hauling it back. Eager to impress new employers, the man follows them into the forest. Suddenly, one of the bosses pulls out a gun and begins firing at the man. Instinct takes over, and the man takes off deeper into the forest, his attackers hot on his heels. The pursuit continues for hours, with the man crawling around on the forest floor, injured, hiding, and running for his life. He eventually comes to the edge of the trees and sees a house in the distance, help so seemingly close, but so terribly far away. One man looking for a cheap desktop computer finds one on Craigslist with all the right specs for a steal at only $120. The seller says if he's going to pay the asking price, the man can pick it up tonight. So the man jots down the address, and just before hanging up, the seller says, "See you real soon, friend." Brushing it off as a quirk, the man drives to the property, but when he arrives, the house and the outside lights are dark. He knocks, but gets no reply, and tries the seller's number. No response there either. Suddenly, two loud bangs shatter the silence from the backyard, the sound loud enough to scare the man back to his car. He tells himself he's being paranoid as he drives home, but the skepticism melts away when he sees a text message on his phone from a number he doesn't recognize that reads, "See you real soon, friend." When he gets home, he tries to find the seller's number again, but the listing, along with the profile, have vanished. Wanting to get her son something special for his upcoming 18th birthday, a mother browses Craigslist looking for a car. A Toyota Camry catches her eye. It's in good condition and only $3,500, so she immediately calls the seller, a man named Bob, and the two set up a meeting time. But later, when she pulls up to the house, the Camry is nowhere in sight. There's no answer when she knocks, but she hears a cell phone ringing inside when she calls Bob's number. Peering into the darkened house, she sees a figure standing just beyond the window, only to realize she's come face to face with a posed, mummified human corpse. Horrified, she flees back to her car, but as she peels out of the driveway, she notices the front window blinds are parted. Someone inside has been watching, and even when she's out of sight, she can't quite shake off the feeling of paranoia. A young student looking to sell his graphing calculator puts an ad on Craigslist, not really expecting anyone to bite, but is surprised when he gets a response from an interested buyer. The two men meet up at a nearby shopping center, but when the buyer tries to test the calculator to be sure it works, he realizes it has no batteries. The student rides with the stranger in his pickup to a nearby grocery store where he purchases a pack of batteries. With the truck running, the stranger begins testing the calculator out, typing away at the keys. Without a word, he suddenly passes the calculator back to the student and pulls into traffic. That's when the student notices the stranger typed something on the screen, a message reading, "You are kidnapped." Shocked, the student can only stare at the driver, who speeds up, locks the doors, and begins laughing. but the man returns the student to the shopping center and hands him money for the calculator. He warns the student to be careful about who he meets from Craigslist before driving away without another word. Wanting to save all the money she can, a pregnant woman is excited to stumble across some cheap maternity clothes on a Craigslist ad. The woman contacts the poster, another woman, and they meet at the seller's house the following day. The stranger invites the expecting mother inside to look at the clothing, and sensing no threat, she enters the home, where things turn suddenly violent. Without warning, the stranger smashes a lamp over the pregnant woman's head, scattering glass all over the floor. In the struggle, she slashes the mother's throat and tries to suffocate her, but the mother continues to fight against her attacker. Giving up on trying to kill the mother, the stranger takes a knife and goes for the unborn child instead. The attacker cuts the baby out of the mother's womb and swiftly vanishes with the child, leaving the mother to bleed out on the floor. But the woman refuses to die there and painstakingly crawls her way to a phone where she manages to dial 911 just before everything goes black. So now it's time for you to decide which of these stories were fiction and which were a horrifying reality. So what about our first story, the man being hunted down by his employers? While it reads like a creepypasta, this story is very true. The man did make it out alive, and his employers turned out to be Richard Beasley and Brogan Rafferty, who had previously used Craigslist to lure 3 men into the woods before killing them. How about our second story, the man looking for a new computer only to be spooked by his new friend? If you guessed this one was the work of fiction, you're probably right, as it comes from the infamous subreddit No Sleep, though I wouldn't say this one is far out of the realm of possibility. So what about the mother who showed up to buy a car only to find a mummified human body? While it sounds just strange enough to be real, the details of this story change depending on which version you read. So it seems it's just a cautionary urban legend, and let's hope it stays that way. Now to the man who very narrowly avoids being kidnapped by a stranger looking to buy his calculator. There's no evidence to support this one, but one user in an Ask Reddit thread about Craigslist meetups gone wrong says this happened to her friend, and she insists it is entirely true. And finally, we have the gruesome assault on an expecting mother that leaves her childless. It resembles the plot of a gruesome horror movie, but this one is completely true. Michelle Wilkins was attacked by Dynell Lane after answering an ad on Craigslist and managed to survive the encounter, though her child did not. Dynell was sentenced to 100 years in prison for the assault and the murder. That's all for this episode. Be sure to watch my other videos by pressing on screen, and of course don't forget to subscribe to my channel because you won't want to miss what's next. And I'll see you next time.